Ladies and gentlemen from all around the world, coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, this is the Spit Sports Show. How's everybody doing out there? Now, I am very, very excited to give you guys my very first NHL episode. If you don't know this about me, hockey was my first love. Growing up in Vancouver, it is the biggest sport around here, and all my friends played hockey, so I played hockey, and I was absolutely in love with it. Still am absolutely in love with it. I try to watch as much as I can, but with the NBA and the NFL being more popular, and to be honest, me enjoying watching them a bit more, I've started to kind of focus on those two, but my love of hockey hasn't gone away. I love playing it. I think it's one of the best sports in the world. And there's one guy who brought my attention right back to the NHL. This kid, Connor Bedard. Goodness gracious me. Okay. So I want to give a little backstory. I was about 8 years old when I heard about this kid. I grew up in Surrey, BC. He grew up in North Vancouver, BC, which is about 45 minutes to an hour drive, depending on traffic. He grew up around me. He is about 2 weeks older than I am. So I've known about this kid for a long time, but the NHL world is just starting to catch up. His debut game on Tuesday was the highest rated hockey game in ESPN history. Now, it's a pretty short history considering ESPN has only owned the NHL rights for about 2 years now, but they did own it for like a decade plus before that. And in that time, they never saw anything like what we saw for this kid's debut game. And as I was watching, I was around a couple of friends who just eat, sleep, and breathe hockey. You know what I mean? Like, I have interest in other sports, obviously, as you've seen, but these guys just love it. And as I was watching the game, I was almost always just looking out for 98 on the Blackhawks. I wanted to see what he was doing. I wanted to see what kind of plays he was going to make. I wanted to see what kind of impact he would have. But as I was watching the game with my new mind that's also involved in other sports and how they work, I realized that the NHL has a problem. And it's not a problem that's easily fixed, but I do have an idea for how to fix it. Now, you might be asking, what the heck's the problem? Well, the NHL fundamentally is your superstars, your best players are on the ice or the playing field in terms of other sports for about a third of the game maximum. If you are a really, really good player, if you're a Bedard, if you're a McDavid, if you're a Cale Makar, you're going to play from anywhere from 18 to 22 minutes. And 22 is about the max. Unless it's like a triple overtime playoff game, you're playing for about a max of 22 minutes, right? Game is 60 minutes, so you're playing for about a third of that. Also, you're only on the ice for about 50-second intervals. The shifts are really quick in the NHL. You're on the ice and then you're off the ice. So I started to think about that. And I started comparing that to the other two leagues that, to be totally honest with you, take a big crap on the NHL when it comes to ratings and popularity nationally, the NBA and the NFL. So in the NBA, which is easily the most superstar-driven league in North America right now, the superstars are on the court for at least 3/4 of the game, if not more than that. Games are only 48 minutes long, right? Your best player is going to play anywhere from 32 to about 40 minutes a night. So they're on for about 3/4 of the game, if not more. LeBron has played a couple playoff games where he's played all 48 plus overtime. You know what I mean? So a superstar's impact on the NBA is so much greater because they're on the floor for so much longer. You know, there's the same amount of players on an NBA court as there are an NHL ice rink, but the superstars are just on the court all of the time. Whereas in the NHL, 50 seconds, then you're off for another 3 minutes, then you come back on for another 50 seconds. It's just a different process. In the NFL, you're on the field for about half the time if you're a superstar, as offense and defense are pretty, in sync with each other. So you're going to see Mahomes for at least half of the game. You're going to see Allen for at least half the game, even Aaron Donald. You're going to see him on the field. And it's not in short intervals. You get to see a series with them. You get to see Mahomes go on a drive. You get to see Aaron Donald, dominate a pass rush for a significant amount of time, like 5 minutes plus sometimes. With the advent of social media and personal brands being as important as they are nowadays, your individual superstar players are more important than they have ever been in the history of sports. Like, a game with LeBron I think I read a stat that it gets 40% more ratings than just a regular NBA regular season game. Do you know when Michael Jordan left the NBA for his first retirement? His first one. This is early 90s. The NBA ratings league wide dropped by 20%. Not the Chicago Bulls rating, the team he left. The league as a whole. Superstars are what keep us watching. You know what I mean? Like, it's the teams that bring us in. We watch because we want to see, the Canucks do well. You want to see the Lions do well. But within that, you want to watch the players who transcend the game, the people who bring it to a whole nother level. You want to see those guys impact the game and see what they do. You want to see them be great as much as possible, because that's what us as humans are attracted to. We're attracted to greatness, especially in sports. That's why LeBron is so captivating. You know what I mean? That's why Mahomes, even though he plays in Kansas City, Missouri, is the biggest ticket in the NFL right now. It's because these superstars, they impact us. We see ourselves in them and what we want to become. So the NHL's issue is they have as many of these guys as any other sport does. The most recent example being Bedard, but before that, you had McDavid in 2015. You had Crosby coming in 05. You had Ovi coming in 04. Before that, you had Lindros and they have no shortage of these phenoms, just like basketball has. Football doesn't really have phenoms like this, but they do have just superstars who you can tell early are going to be unbelievable, especially quarterbacks. Hockey doesn't have an issue with a lack of superstars. It has an issue with the lack of showing these superstars. In a 60-minute game, you're only seeing the superstar for 20 minutes and they're playing in these, little short stints. It doesn't have the same impact that seeing LeBron dominate a game for 40 minutes does, or Mahomes, taking it on 7-minute drives. So, you might be asking, what is the fix to this? Well, to be honest, there is no easy fix, because hockey is a fundamental sport. This is what it is. It's so exhausting and so fast. Like, you have to be skating at full speed all of the time, or you're simply going to be behind the play, give up a goal, turn the puck. You have to be go, go, go all of the time. So I understand the short stints. My suggestion would be for the NHL to cut their games from 60 minutes to 48 minutes, just like the NBA has. So you'd have 16-minute periods instead of 20-minute periods. Why do I say that? Well, instead of the best player being on the ice for only a third of the game, they would then be on the ice for more than half of the game, which would allow these new fans who are coming in to watch a Connor Bedard play to see him play for longer and see him be great for longer and have him, have a way more impact on the game than he has currently. The beauty of the NBA is the fact that one guy, like, if you have him, you have a chance. You know what I mean? Like, if you have LeBron, you got a chance at winning games. If you have Mahomes, you've got a chance at winning games. If you got Justin Herbert, you've got a chance at winning games. In the NHL, it's not like that. Connor McDavid was on one of the worst teams in hockey for the first couple years of his career, even though he was undisputedly the best player in the world. Even now, like, he's with another one of the best players in the world, if not second, in Draisaitl, but their goaltending sucks. So it doesn't look like they're going to be able to win a cup easily. But they might win it this year, but like Campbell in net is a huge question mark. So you have a chance, but you don't know like anything is going to happen. Whereas with LeBron, Mahomes, you have a chance to win a Super Bowl or a championship. You don't have that with hockey. If you shorten the games, you increase the superstar's impact on the game. And that makes it so the superstars are a lot more attractive to a viewer who is coming to watch hockey for the first time, which is super important. It also drives up merchandise sales. Fans going to be a lot more keen to buy a McDavid or a Bedard jersey when they're watching him play more or for more of the game. You know what I mean? It's just hockey's issue is it's too team oriented. The superstars don't have the ability to take over a game like they do in these other sports. And I think that's a negative, not a plus, even though hockey fans would disagree with that, saying, it's the ultimate team sport, all of that stuff. But listen, do you want to be the ultimate team sport, or do you want to be more popular? Do you want to have a better, more healthy league? It's up to them. But I think cutting the games down to 48 minutes instead of 60 would help a lot in terms of national interest for the league because the superstars would be so much more prominent. That might be a crazy take to some people, and I get that it changes the fundamentals of hockey. 3 20-minute periods has been what it's been what's the standard since the 30s. But the NFL, it switched to a passing league. You know what I mean? When it had been a run first league forever. The NBA changed to a 3-point shooting league. Why? Because it's more entertaining. At the end of the day, sports is about entertainment. It's the entertainment business. It's competitive, it's brutal, it's all of those things. But at the end of the day, it's fundamentally an entertainment business. If the NHL wants to be more entertaining and create more interest and promote their superstars more, they got to shorten the games so that the superstars' impact is increased and therefore the fans' love of the superstars is increased and it generates more interest. To me, 2 + 2 = 4 here. That's just my take. Anyways, thank you all so much, as always, for listening. I want to know, am I crazy? This is one of my most out there takes, but I really, really believe that it's a good idea for the sport that I love and I'd love to see flourish. Please let me know in the comments below. As always, the Spit Show hopefully comes out every other day. Thank you all for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.